fast. Investors gonna last. Gonna build an empire, trust. Got that higher, got that grace. Time to phrase. Pet pitch India, ideas take flight. Pet pitch India, day and night. Pet pitch India, future's looking bright.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today our mission is to look at this massive structural transformation that's happening in the Indian travel and hospitality sector. And what's so fascinating is that the driver isn't some new app or a political shift. It's something deeply emotional. It's the changing role of pets in our lives.
That's right.
I mean, if you are a pet parent, you know the feeling. The days of leaving your fur baby at a kennel and just spending the whole vacation feeling guilty, they're fading.
Thankfully.
The modern consumer mandate is just so clear. We travel together, and this demand, it's forcing the entire industry from airlines to hotels to basically rewrite its rule book.
It's absolutely true. The sources we've looked at show this is so much more profound than just, tacking on a small pet fee.
Right.
We are looking at a market disruption that requires these big established players to invest and invest heavily in real structural change.
So it's like a foundational shift.
Exactly. I'd compare it to when e-commerce was first introduced into retail. It fundamentally changes the way the investment goes, how logistics are managed, and who the customer even is.
That is a great analogy. So let's unpack that initial driver then. It really all starts with that emotional bond, doesn't it?
And it does.
The sources just overwhelmingly confirm that pets aren't seen as mere companions anymore. They're viewed as, full-fledged family members. And avoiding that trauma of separation anxiety, which, affects both the pet and the owner, that's the engine.
And that emotional intensity, it translates directly into economic power. This is classified globally as an irreversible high-growth market phenomenon.
Irreversible. Wow, that's a really strong term.
It is. And when we focus on India, the numbers, they're staggering. The pet travel services market is valued at USD 82.6 million right now in 2024.
Okay.
And it is forecast to nearly double. We're talking USD 154.6 million by 2030. That's a compound annual growth rate of about 11.2%.
That's incredibly robust growth. But is that sustainable? Or is it, just a correction from that huge surge in pet adoption we saw post-pandemic?
The sustainability looks really strong. And that's because the consumer behind this trend is, frankly, incredibly lucrative.
Okay, so it's a high-value customer.
A very high-value customer. The pet traveler is typically from an affluent demographic, and they spend significantly more than the average tourist. They're spending on two beings, sure, but they also show really high brand loyalty. They're willing to pay a huge premium for inclusion, for specialized services.
They see it as essential.
Essential, not optional. And yes, the trend was definitely accelerated by the post-pandemic surge. That pushed the Indian pet population to 38.5 million. So you now have millions of highly committed, high-spending new pet parents who are demanding this integration.
Okay, so the consumer has spoken, and they have the money to back it up. If that's the case, how are established businesses in India being forced to adapt their physical architecture? I mean, beyond just saying pets allowed.
Yeah, the change is moving past that kind of passive acceptance into really active catering. On major booking platforms in India, they've tracked a rise of over 40% in bookings that are specifically for pet-friendly accommodations.
40%, that's a clear signal.
It is. And the result is that nearly a third of all listed properties now explicitly cater to pets.
And that adaptation, it means moving well beyond the bowl, right? It's not just allowing the dog to stay in the room. What kind of specialized services are becoming standard?
Standard now means dedicated, comfortable dog beds, proper water and food bowls, and often even bespoke pet menus that are tailored to their dietary needs. The hospitality sector has realized that if they treat the pet well, they capture the owner's devotion.
And this is where it gets really interesting, particularly in the luxury segment. The sources are pointing to a new wave of high-end resorts making major capital investments.
Absolutely.
We're talking about luxury suites that come with private, fenced-in pet lawns. They're providing in-house gourmet chefs just for pet food, even organizing, supervised pet playgroups.
They're competing on bespoke service for the pet itself. And that level of investment, it underscores a crucial operational shift: staff training.
Right. You can't offer a gourmet pet menu if your staff doesn't get it.
Exactly. You need staff who understand pet nutrition, maybe even pet first aid, and just general etiquette. The viability of these businesses, it now hinges on getting a certified pet-friendly establishment seal. And that means specialized training is the new standard.
So we've covered accommodation, but what about the logistics? How is this structural change showing up in transportation, especially with airlines?
The sheer volume is just undeniable. Carriers like Air India, for instance, reported flying over 7,000 pets in a single fiscal year.
Wow.
It's a massive 33.7% increase year on year.
Yeah.
The industry simply has to react to that kind of demand.
And numbers like that, they demand policy changes.
Precisely. We're seeing airlines adapt their rules now to permit smaller pets, usually up to about 7 to 10 kilograms, to travel right there in the cabin with the owner.
That's a huge shift.
It's a huge shift in approach. Treating the pet less like luggage and more like a small but valuable passenger. And at the same time, the rules for larger pets in cargo are also being streamlined for safety.
Okay, so domestic travel is booming, but let's talk about the friction points. Because even with these adaptations, the process can be so messy, confusing, and inconsistent across different carriers and regions in India.
Right.
And this inconsistency is exactly where the market's complexity creates this immense opportunity for innovation.
And where there's friction, there is definitely money to be made solving it. You have pioneers like the Indian startup Collar Folk who saw this gap really early.
What they did.
They didn't just offer curated pet-friendly vacations. They tackled one of the most frustrating urban pain points, getting a reliable pet-friendly cab. I mean, finding a safe ride that will accept a large dog used to be a nightmare. Now it's a service.
And looking ahead, standardizing all of this requires some really specialized, centralized solutions. For instance, we absolutely need an integrated policy aggregator.
That aggregator is so vital. Just think about it. A single platform that instantly shows you and manages all those inconsistent policies across different airlines, trains, regional permits, all of it.
It would save hours of phone calls.
Hours. And then you also need seamless health integration. I mean, if you're traveling to a remote destination, finding a vet you trust could be a real problem.
That's where real-time vet telemedicine comes in, right? It provides that trusted, quick consultation, often with video diagnostics. It's a huge peace of mind factor. And then finally, you have to simplify all the paperwork with something like a microchipped passport system.
Instant access to health records.
It really sounds like technology is the ultimate catalyst here for that peace of mind, just letting the owner relax.
Exactly. We're seeing an acceleration in the market for things like GPS trackers and specialized portable gear. But the high-end niche, and probably the future of safe travel, is these premium smart kennels and carriers.
What makes them smart?
They're temperature-controlled travel crates with built-in cameras, automated food and water dispensers, remote monitoring. It's a real investment in safety for those long journeys.
So domestic travel is clearly finding its stride, but the ultimate ambition for a lot of Indian pet parents is international travel. So what's the reality there? What's the highest hurdle?
The reality is that international travel requires meticulous, and I mean meticulous, planning. You're looking at a minimum of 6 months, and it's structurally complex. People often compare it to preparing a high-priority visa application.
6 months. Wow.
And most of that complexity is driven by the mandates from the Indian government's Animal Quarantine and Certification Service, or the AQCS.
And the timing, I understand, is everything, and it's completely unforgiving.
It is non-negotiable, and the sequence matters more than anything. So step 1. The pet has to get its ISO microchip before the rabies vaccination.
Wait, so the chip has to precede the vaccine for it to be legally recognized?
Correct. The chip is the official ID stamp for that specific vaccine. If you do it in the reverse order, you have to start the clock all over again.
Okay, so chip first, then vaccine. Then what?
Then, step 2. 30 days after the vaccine, the rabies titer test is performed. This test, the RNAT, it proves the vaccination worked, that the pet has enough antibodies. It's crucial for entry into rabies-free countries.
So we've confirmed ID and we've confirmed immunity. What's next?
Here's the big one, the one that causes the most headaches. The pet is only eligible to enter the destination country 3 months after the date the blood was drawn for that titer test.
3 months after the blood draw?
Yes. So that means you have to start planning at least 4 months before you even intend to depart, and that's assuming everything goes perfectly. You can't just decide to take a last-minute trip.
Not a chance.
And just when you think you're done, there's the final domestic hurdle. The mandatory AQCS No Objection Certificate, the NOC. This has to be obtained no more than 48 hours before the flight departs.
Only 48 hours? What if the flight is delayed?
If the flight is delayed past that window, this certificate expires. You cannot fly. The strict sequencing and timing are the biggest friction points for the customer.
Okay, so beyond the paperwork, let's talk logistics and cost. Because airline rules are notoriously strict here.
Absolutely. Airlines require rigid adherence to IATA-approved crates, sized so the pet can stand up and turn around. And there are strict rules prohibiting snub-nosed or brachycephalic breeds, like pugs or bulldogs, from the cargo hold at all.
Due to breathing risks.
Severe breathing risks. And for some destinations, like the UK, there's an added complexity called manifest cargo.
Manifest cargo, what does that mean exactly? The pet doesn't just arrive on the baggage carousel?
Precisely. The pet has to enter separately from passenger luggage, and it requires a licensed customs agent to clear them on arrival. So that adds more paperwork, more fees, and a whole layer of complexity that most people are just not prepared for.
And all of this, the logistics, the vetting, the air freight, it comes with a pretty substantial financial cost.
It does. The price of taking your family internationally is significant. If you're budgeting for a standard India to Europe or US transfer, the all-in cost, it can range from a substantial euro 2,050,000 to over 5,000 per pet.
Wow. That's a huge investment. It really underscores this idea of pets as, a luxury family investment, which makes sense why the sources so strongly recommend hiring professional relocation agents.
It's the ultimate cost of peace of mind. The professional agent, their fee might range from $50,000 to $1,050,000, but they specialize in navigating all that intricate sequencing and documentation. They minimize the risk of a travel disaster. For many, that's worth every rupee.
So zooming back out for our conclusion, we started by saying this was a structural transformation driven by emotion and backed by high spending. What's the key takeaway for the entire travel industry here?
The core conclusion is this. Travel companies, they simply cannot build products and services for the petless world anymore. They have to integrate pet needs, from specialized accommodation to complex international logistics, into their core design. If they don't, they're missing out on this affluent, high-spending demographic that is growing exponentially.
And the next wave, it's going to be driven by personalization, isn't it? Connecting that emotion directly to technology. I'm thinking of AI-powered booking engines that filter itineraries not just for pets allowed, but based on breed size, energy level.
Exactly.
A high-energy husky needs a totally different travel plan than a calm Shih Tzu, even if they're going to the same city.
That personalization down to breed-specific itineraries will be the key to capturing loyalty. And I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Considering the sheer volume of this affluent demographic and the luxury adaptations we've discussed, how soon until destinations in India require a certified pet-friendly establishment seal?
So it becomes mandatory.
Mandatory, making specialized pet etiquette training and certified staff the new standard just to be viable in this market. It's definitely some food for thought as you plan your next trip, with your furry family member in tow.
Thank you for listening to Pet Pitch India, a well-researched podcast. Hope you had a great time. Until then, see you next Thursday at 12 noon. Cheers, and stay safe.